In one single night, the largest army in Europe was defeated. Thousands of men were killed or wounded. Artillery was fired, ground was lost, and the enemy never showed up. This is the story of the night the Austrian army fought a war against itself and lost. 1788. The Habsburg monarchy, modern-day Austria, Hungary, and a great deal of territory in between, is at war with the Ottoman Empire for roughly the 9th time in as many generations. At the head of the army is a man who, by most accounts, should not be leading an army. Holy Roman Emperor Joseph II, a reformer, an intellectual, a man far more comfortable with paperwork than with cavalry formations. And yet, here he is, personally commanding somewhere between 80,000 and 100,000 men on the road to the town of Karánsebes. That number alone should give you pause. This is one of the largest single armies fielded in Europe in the entire 18th century. Hungarians, Croats, Serbs from the military frontier, Romanians, Italians from Lombardy, a patchwork of nations stitched together under one crown, speaking, by conservative estimate, at least half a dozen mutually unintelligible languages. Command in German, response in Croatian, Romanian, Italian, Serbian, and whatever the man standing next to you happened to grow up speaking. Keep that in mind. It is going to matter a great deal in approximately 6 hours. On the night of September 21st, the army makes camp near the Timis River, just outside Karánsebes. Scouting parties are sent ahead. Nobody at this point has seen a single Ottoman soldier, which is, in hindsight, the calm before a storm that the Austrians will manufacture entirely themselves. A detachment of hussars, the elite light cavalry, the guys with the big hats and the bigger egos, cross the river to scout ahead for the Ottoman army. They find no Ottomans. What they do find is a group of local Romanian traders who have schnapps and who are, very reasonably, willing to sell it. The hussars buy the schnapps. The hussars, having ridden all day through a war zone for absolutely no payoff, begin drinking the schnapps. This is, arguably, the most understandable decision anyone makes all night. Shortly after, a column of infantry crosses the same river. They see a party in progress. They would, naturally, like to attend this party. The hussars, who are cavalry and who have never, in recorded history, willingly shared anything with infantry, say no. They build, and I want to stress this actually happened, a small fortification out of the empty schnapps barrels to keep the infantry out of their liquor. Words are exchanged. Words become a fist fight. And somewhere in that fistfight, somebody, to this day, nobody knows who, fires a shot. One shot. That's all it takes. Someone in the infantry, and remember, this army speaks 6 languages, starts shouting, "Turci, Turci, Romanian for Turks, Turks." The men around him don't need a translation for that one. Word spreads through the camp faster than any officer can control it. Officers, trying desperately to restore order, start shouting the one command every soldier in this army is supposed to understand, regardless of native language: Halt, halt. Except a great many of these men don't speak German. And in the dark, in a panic, surrounded by gunfire, Halt sounds an awful lot like Allah, which, to men who believe they are being overrun by an Ottoman night attack, confirms every fear they already have. Cavalry flees through the camp. To General Colorado, watching from a distance in the dark, fleeing horsemen at speed look exactly like one thing: an Ottoman cavalry charge. He orders the artillery to open fire. The Austrian army is now shooting at its own cavalry with cannons at night in a panic over a fight about schnapps. Somewhere in all of this, Emperor Joseph II, the man nominally in command of the largest army in Europe, is thrown from his horse and separated from his staff. He wanders the camp alone, in the dark, not entirely sure where his own army is anymore. For a period of time, nobody can precisely account for the Holy Roman Emperor is, functionally, a lost civilian in the middle of his own war. By the time the sun comes up, the panic has burned itself out. The camp is in ruins. Wagons are overturned. The army's payroll chest, gone. 3 cannons, gone. And by the most dramatic tellings, 10,000 men, dead or wounded. An entire army's worth of casualties self-inflicted in one night. Now, historians will tell you that number is doing a lot of heavy lifting. More sober estimates put the real toll anywhere from 150 men to about 1,000. But 10,000 is the figure that stuck. And honestly, given what you're about to hear happened, it's not hard to see why people wanted to believe the bigger number. Not one Ottoman soldier fired a shot. 2 days later, the actual Ottoman army arrives at Karánsebes. What they find is a town undefended, a battlefield littered with Austrian dead and wounded, and no army left to stop them. They walk in and take the town without a fight. An army of up to 100,000 men, the largest fielded in Europe that century, was routed by a rumor, a mistranslation, and roughly a dozen hussars who really didn't want to share their schnapps. Now, here's the part of the story most retellings leave out. And it's arguably the best part. The earliest detailed account of this battle wasn't written down until 1831, 43 years after the night it supposedly happened. Other detailed versions surface even later, in the 1840s. For an event this dramatic, that's a very long silence. Historians are, understandably, skeptical. Some think the vivid details, the barrel fort, the exact shouted words, the emperor wandering alone, were embellished decades later to spice up what may have been a much smaller, much less colorful, friendly fire incident. A few have gone as far as questioning whether any of this happened in quite the way it's always told. What we can say with more confidence, contemporary reports from the time do confirm the Ottomans took Karánsebes without a fight, and that the Austrians suffered real, reported losses beforehand. Something happened that night. Whether it happened exactly the way 3 generations of historians have delighted in retelling it, that's a different question entirely. One more detail for the road. Official Austrian records from that same campaign season show that the overwhelming majority of the tens of thousands of casualties that year came not from the Ottomans and not from each other, but from malaria and dysentery. History's most infamous self-inflicted defeat may be part legend. The mosquitoes were absolutely real. Every war has a story like this one buried in it. The version that's too good to be entirely true and too real to entirely dismiss. That's what this channel is for. If you want the next one, subscribe. We'll be back next week with another army doing something it really shouldn't have.